did you become the general manager of America for the year?
5 years ago, when I about 8 years ago when I got out of Parchman, I did 5 years for marijuana, uh, non-violent crime, first time offender, and I just went through, depression. Being around Jackson. I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. I'm from Verdun. I went to Lanier, graduated, but I ended up falling into the wrong crowd. Going to the streets. Um, so I did 5 years in Parchman Penitentiary, and I did some time in Greene County. But when I got out, when I was in prison, I did working, trying to get myself together. Um, and when I get out, none of those things had, because I came around the same environment, the same people, the same peers, it manipulated me. Well, I'm supposed to be in control of myself, but things that's around us, we are a product of our environment. So I ended up getting shot um, right here off Bailey. Um, when I was up in the University Hospital, the family came in, and in that time, when I got shot, somebody came, they did a drive-by and killed my brother as well, the same night, and shot him 17 times. Um, and I'm in the hospital trying to recover, and my daddy got colon cancer all at the same time. So I was like, man, look, I got to change. I got to make a move. I got to do something to change my life. This ain't the way it ends. So I don't. When I was in the university, they had the world, the globe, in there in the room, and I got up and I just spent it. And when I stopped it, it said Minnesota. I don't know nobody in Minnesota. I don't have family there or anything. So boom, I ended up going to Minnesota. So I spent my last couple of dollars on the Greyhound. I got on the bus. Went down to Minnesota. When I made it there, I was conversating with this guy, man, Jeff, that was on the bus with me, and he was talking about it's a homeless shelter, when we went downtown Minneapolis. So I probably want to try to check in, try to get in there. And so I did that. They took me in, and I was just taking it one day at a time, just one day at a time, every day, But I ain't know Minnesota get that cold. So when we was up in there, it was real cold. I seen that it was kind of hard up inside the homeless shelter as well. So um, during a little time, I started going on Facebook and trying to friend people from that area. And I meet this young lady, and about a month in, she allowed. We was talking, communicating. She allowed me to come to her house, and the second time I went over there, she was like, "Why every time you come over here, you had this big bag with you, and like your whole life with you?" And I was like, "It is. This my whole life in this bag." And she was like, "Be honest with me. Are where you living?" And I was like, "I was homeless." And she was like, "I don't get a bad vibe out of you or nothing like that. We've been talking almost a month and a half, 2 months." She was like, I'm gonna let you stay in my basement, but you got to get a job. And I was like, cool, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to work. I didn't even know how to fill out an application. So she sat me down and she helped me get an application. First job was Goodwill. I was so happy that I'm working, that I was so happy. I'm at the donation booth when people pull in their cars. I'm the guy that greet you and get your stuff. And I was so happy. So I was doing this for about 8.5 months, and a guy come in, and he was like, "Man, every time I come here, you like one of the most happiest person I've seen in life." He was like, "Man, you a manager." And I was like, "Man, he was like, have you ever worked for AutoZone before?" He was like, he was the regional manager for AutoZone. I was like, "No." He was like, "Whatever they paying you, I pay you more." And I ended up doing put my 2 weeks in, switching jobs, and went in as a manager at AutoZone. Um, by me being from Mississippi country, boy, I know how to fix cars and do all those types of things. Anyway, I learned that. So I ended up by 9 months into AutoZone, I ended up being like the number one salesman, for AutoZone for Minnesota. Started getting all type of awards and stuff because we selling these car parts, and I'm going out here helping these people doing all that, fixing their cars. And I won like 3, 4 awards for AutoZone, and became the number one salesman. So a lady come in, and she was like, her name's Shelly. And she was like, have you ever been a general manager? She was like, the way you are with people, your communication skills, you know, we would love to have you. I'm like, who you work for? Who are you? And she was like, she was a regional manager for a district manager for Speedway, which is a gas station. And she was like, we'll teach you how to do the book side. We need you. And I was like, cool. I was kind of nervous, but I went. They taught me. I took like the worst store that they had in St. Paul, Minnesota, right? So when I took the store, it was like a high crime area, a lot of violence going on. So I ended up in three months, I ended up flipping that store and making that store number one. Um, it was just it was just simple to me, how to clean things up. Me being in the Katrina when the Katrina situation had happened, my cousin them owned restaurants, Three Sons restaurants in Jackson out, out Mega Evers. And when Katrina had hit, to keep the violence down, when the crime started going up, we noticed that we cooked all the food and we just went and handed out plates, because they're like for anybody in any situation, like don't nobody want to be a bank robber. Don't nobody want to sell drugs, but people will do it, if they feel like they have no other way of seeing and feeding their families. So, I kind of that kind of stuck with me. So, after my store went number one, I ended up getting 10 more stores. So I became a district manager at Speedway, and all of my stores was competing against each other. So this is when the Indian guy comes in and he's like, Michael Porter, we've been watching you. He was like, I'm in the hotel industry. And he was like, he was like, what you doing with these stores in this community is cleaning up our hotel. And he was like, we would love to have you on board. Instead of you doing all of those stores, why don't you put all your energy into one hotel? And I was nervous, because I was comfortable with what I was doing. And I was like, man, I never worked at a hotel before. And eventually we talked, and that woman that helped me, fill out that application that I was telling you about, that let me stay up in the basement, that I met on Facebook. I ended up marrying her. She's my wife right now. So I had a talk with her, and she was like, if this the feeling that you feeling, let's do it. So I took the job, you know, um, went in. The third month hit. Right behind the hotel is where the George Floyd situation had happened. Where he had got killed, and it was just total chaos, just total chaos. We right here in the heart of it. Man, it was just something that you could never imagine. So in order for, first thing came in my mind was, you know, let's feed people. Let's feed people, because a lot of people lost a lot of things here. A lot of people lost things here. So the same time the pandemic was going down, the government had shut everything down. And before everything was shut down, I had the mind frame like in Katrina. The first thing, remember when Katrina, if you old enough, you will notice that the toilet paper went out, materials had went out. We couldn't get supplies. So I stocked up. I shut three of my rooms down. I stocked up on toilet paper, was one whole room. The other room was filled up with like cleaning supplies and stuff, and the other room was with sheets and towels and stuff like that. So when everything had shut down, you know, we had everything. We had a year's worth of supplies. So so we ended up, going to another driving to Wisconsin, and getting like all the bottles of water and getting dollar meals and stuff, and we brought it back, me and my wife. And we was handing it out. We were just handing them out. So this is when the riot's going down, when everything getting burnt up. So that following day, the state of Minnesota was bringing a busload of people in, and they was like, "You got 30 rooms." They was like, "You do know you the only hotel open, you know, no, in Minnesota." And I'm like, "What?" They're like, "You the only hotel open." I'm just knowing that we just packed. I'm not knowing that we the only hotel open. So I was like, "Yeah." I'm gonna check some people out and move some around, and when we catered to them, they was like, "What you doing with this food and stuff?" We passing out, because the people, what I'm saying, everybody hungry, starving, ain't nothing open, you know. So we had ended up giving them some food and stuff. So the next day they was like, "We want to be involved," the state of Minnesota. So the next day they brought us an 18 wheeler, And now we're not just feeding the hotel. We started feeding the whole community. We started feeding the whole St. Paul. We had enough food for hundreds of people. So it started just creating a big buzz. So like a week later, I was already a team member of Tesla, and they was bringing my charge port. I was the first hotel to get a charge port placed up at the hotel at a Motel 6. And when the dude came in, he was like, "Man, what's all these people? You got cars lined up all around the corner." I'm like, "We just feeding the community." And he was like, "Do you know what you're doing?" And I was like, "Yeah, we feeding the community." He was like, "Do you know what you're doing? Do you understand?" And I'm like, "Man, we just feeding people. People hungry." You know, he said, "Man, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna talk with Tesla." And he come back with me a week later. I get a check, and it has a writing on it. It says, "Michael, Mr. Porter, we congratulate you for doing what you're doing. We want to be a part of it, and whatever you need, you can use this money for whatever." And so I took the $20,000, and I went to that same homeless shelter that I stayed in the first couple months when I got there. And I fixed their heating. We gave them food. We did the clothing. We did everything. I spent the whole $20,000 with them. So when I get back to the hotel, um, I'm getting out my car, and like just 15, 20 people running up on me. And when I got shot, it looked at like the same situation. Like, I'm finna die. So I like, clench myself like I'm finna die. This is what happened when I got shot. And it was just people with cameras. And when I looked up, they were like, "Mr. Porter, how does it feel? Out of 55,000 managers in America, like, you are number one." And I couldn't believe him. Like, "What are you saying? I'm number one. What you talking about?" They like, "You're number one. You are number one." They like, You're the number one guy." And I don't know what's going on. So I was like, "Man, get them cameras out my face, man. I'm trying to get out of my car." When I make it, my phone ringing while they talking to me. And the lady touched me on my shoulder, and she like, "Mr. Porter, I know it." She was like, "This is a life-changing situation. We know, but you are number one." And my phone ringing, and I'm answering. I'm like, they like, "Mr. Porter, this such and such from the White House." And I'm like, man, hanging up the phone. And I'm like, "What is going on?" So when I get in my office, I got a flood of emails in my office, like, "This is the United States of America, the Washington D.C. Like, they wanted the White House, and they had a number on there. So when I called the number, they laughed. They like, "Don't nobody never believe that the White House whenever they reach out to people." And they wanted to tell me, congratulate me on the job that I did. And doing this whole mist of things when everything was getting burnt up, the people surrounded our hotel because we were doing so much helping that they surrounded and protected us. Everything around me got burnt up. Everything around me except the hotel. It's the only thing that did not get touched. And a guy come in, he had his girlfriend, his wife, he had two kids with him, and he was like kind of nervous and shaking. And he was like, "Man, I only have this amount of money, and I'm trying to get a room for my family." Like, I'm like, "Bro, I see somebody, and let's help." So I told him, "Man, don't worry about the money, man. I got a room for you, man." And he was like, "I get paid Friday, and I promise you I can give you your money." So I was like, "Don't worry about it. Just take the money you got, bro, and go get y'all something to eat." You know what I'm saying? So when Friday came, he had came with the money. I told him, "Don't worry about that. I'm trying to help you. I wouldn't be helping you if I was taking something from you. We just move forward with those days is on us." So he ended up staying like a month and a half. And after he left, he shook my hand, and I never seen him again. 3 months later, I see him on CNN. People calling my phone. They like, "Michael, pick your phone up." Yeah, I mean, change the TV to CNN, change the channel. And I'm like, "What's going on?" That's George Floyd nephew. And he telling them about me, about the help that we was doing and stuff like that. And it changed my life. I'm the first black person to win that award, and I'm the first person to take a Motel 6 and make it number one and compete with not just Motel 6s, but we beat out all your hotels. If it's 200 rooms or less, we beat all the hotels, your Hyatts, your Hiltons, your Marriotts, everybody. And I ended up coming here. I've been going bouncing around the world because I've been like somewhat like more of a consultant now. Uh, I go and spend like 90 days, 2 months at the hotels, and I just flip them around, just flipping them around, flipping them around. And now I'm an actual member of the Marriott now. It's I just signed that contract, and and I'm a partnership with I'm partnership with Tesla now. Now everywhere I go now is we got a lot of things that we finna do for the future, especially for around down south. That it ain't too many charge ports and stuff like that. Like we finna change the world. Um, and that $20,000 what I was talking about when that check when I was saying, uh, before I met the president, I get a strategic, a phone call, and flights already paid for. So when I get out there, we go to the Venetian hotel. We on like the 83rd floor. I go up in the room, and it's Elon Musk, and he like calling me his twin. He like, Michael, what you're doing with the hotels changed the world. He he was like the same thing what he did with the cars. And we talked for about an hour and 45 minutes, and and it was the greatest conversation I ever had in my life. Um, he was just like a regular normal person, and we said a couple things that what we was gonna do, and he's owning up on his word, and that's why now I'm finna go to Texas, and I've been lingering around Mississippi because I'm trying to get this story out.